Hey, my lovely YouTubers, welcome back to my YouTube channel with me, your girl, Morgan Tracy J, coming today with another video, guys, for this morning coffee. And today's video, signs to know that you were made for more. And honestly, you guys, this is something I'm so excited to talk about because this happened to me years ago. And there were all these signs that the Lord was showing me. And I'm like, oh, I want to share this with them. So before we jump into this video, make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube family. Also, you follow me over on Instagram. I'm always sharing some powerful content there as well. And if you don't know, girl, I have a ministry called hisdaughterscloset.com. And we have so many powerful free resources there that I know will bless your walk with God. So if you're ready, sis, after the shameless plug, let's get into the video. Okay, girl, signs to know that you were made for more, okay? And this actually came about because years ago, I did not realize that God made me for more. I didn't know he was calling me to higher. I didn't know that he was setting me apart and giving me dreams and visions and stuff like that. I just knew, I thought I was kind of weird, okay, honestly. And so today I want to talk to you about some signs to know that God is calling you for more, that you were made for more and you were set apart and chosen for such a time as this, and that there is something he has for you to do, okay? And the first thing is, and some people are not going to like this, is that you get bored easily. Okay, that means with where you live, that means with where where you stay, that means with schedules, you get bored so easily. This is one of my first signs, which I didn't realize back then, that God was calling me for more, because I remember I was living a pretty okay life. I had a boyfriend. I went to school. He went to work. I mean, life was okay. We lived together. I wasn't really thinking things were going to be different, if that makes sense. Until I remember after about a year living with this man, I literally was like, God, is this it? Am I going to just get married and have kids? And is that what's next for me? Like, I literally kept thinking, is this it for me? Like, no offense to having kids and getting married, but like, I don't know if I want that. Like, I literally did not know if I wanted that. And I think I was like 22, 23. And I think I was like 22 actually. And I literally was like, God, I don't know. Like, this cannot be it. Like, I'm bored. I'm bored with my life. I'm bored with not living. I'm bored with the mundane and like not actually stepping out, not having faith, not living I'm just kind of bored. And I learned that in the beginning, I thought that was a negative. I was like, this man is everything perfect on paper. So why are you bored? This makes no sense. But the truth of the matter is I was getting called out of the home that I was in. I was getting called out of the comfortable space that I had been in. I was even getting called out of my normal places of my faith, right? I was just a normal kind of Christian girl at the time where I was still lukewarm and still living in sin. And I knew God, but I didn't love God. I knew God loved me, but I didn't really love God. And so there was this season where I just was battling with boredom. And it was truly because God was trying to show me I got more for you. Like, you're bored here for a reason, because you know that there is more to be doing. There's more to be happening. There's more things you could really be tackling on this earth. Like, this earth is huge, girl. There's more things you could be doing. And I think I knew it that early at 22. I just didn't know how to say it. But I remember being like, God, is this all my life is going to be? Like, is this it? Like, I knew there had to be more than this. And I literally would say, there has to be more than this. Like, there has to be. So, amen. That was my first sign in that season, but I didn't really know it yet. But looking back, that was my very first sign that God was calling me for more. He was calling me higher. And I felt like this can't be it. Like, the home I was living in, like, this can't be it. The car I was driving, this can't be it. The person next door, like, this can't be it. Like there's got to be more to living than just this. Like, I truly felt that so strongly. The next thing, you guys, is I was listening to a message one day, and it penetrated my heart, and it took me to new levels in my faith, okay? What I want to say is, this was like in 2013, 2014. I went to a women's conference in Oklahoma City, and Priscilla Shire was the speaker. At the time, I didn't even know who Priscilla Shire was, and she didn't happen to like make it fully mainstream to us, or like out, I didn't know who she was, honestly. But I go to this women's conference, and she was the speaker, and the theme and the title was, You Were Made for More. And I want to tell you guys, as Priscilla Shire, and if y'all heard Priscilla Shire, y'all know she's powerful. But as this woman spoke, I was so drawn in. The whole time she spoke, tears just flowed from my eyes. The whole time she spoke, I was trying to write, and I had pages of notes and tears on my pages. And I just remember, like, she was speaking directly to me. She was speaking about, God is calling you for more. You feel it. You know it. God has called you to, like she was speaking to me. And I'm like, I do feel that. It was so good. And I remember like just crying, and I remember knowing like as she was speaking to me, she was speaking directly to my soul, like, I know God called me for more than this. I know he called me more for than just shacking up. I know he called me more for just kind of being, comfortable like with my life, like, okay, this is just what's gonna be. Like, I know God called me for more than this. And as she was speaking, you guys, my eyes were so welled up. I remember like my friend sitting next to me. I could not even talk. I couldn't even do nothing. I was stunned by how I had never been spoke to like that. Let me say this. Like, on my little faith walk, I had never heard somebody speak directly into my soul in a way. And so that right there was so powerful for me. This also kind of confirmed it some years later. So there's this motivational speaker called Les Brown. And Les Brown said he was in high school and he was in like special needs classes, and they had a speaker come to their school and speak. And when this speaker spoke, he said it captivated him. It was like at that moment when that speaker spoke, he said tears were running down his face, and he knew that God had something more for him. Like, he was called to something more. So he got that as a teenager. At about 22 years old, I got mine. And I'm just sitting in a church, and there's this woman speaker who I've never even heard of before. And she's speaking directly to my life. And she's speaking directly to, I've been knowing there was this thing there kind of pulling me to take leaps and go further in my faith. But I knew I was so scared to even do that. And I will say this, like those were a couple little ways I knew early on that I was made for more. But a big major way I knew I was made for more is I knew that the house I was living in, the car I was driving, the season I was in life, I always knew that was going to change. And I always knew like, hey, this is not where I'm going to end up. I know that. I cannot end up here. I can't end up here at the same job with the same mindset, with the same struggle. I refuse to end up here. I refuse that in the name of Jesus. And I just had this hunger, like, there's something more for me. God made me for something more than this. There's something more than just waking up, paying bills, and going on with my life. Like, there is something, I know I'm called for more than this. Like, it was just a feeling. It was a knowing. And that right there, I think with hearing Priscilla Shire's words and with getting all that, like, it helped me kind of realize, like, no, God is calling you, and you feel it. You just think you're weird, or you think something's wrong with you, or you think your head is in the clouds, but truly God is calling you for something more. And I will say this, it's a hunger that God has more for you. It's a hunger. It's inward. It's not outward. It's not like, there's a hunger for the car or something. It's an all inward hunger. And I knew it, and it burned in me sometimes. I remember I would be laying in bed, like staring at the ceiling, bored with my life. Like, I would be bored because also I didn't have my purpose really yet either. So I would literally be like bored. I would be so bored with my life. I'd be like, I could go to the park. But I feel like my life had no purpose. It had no substance. It had no, this is why I wake up in the morning. Oh, this is why I'm getting moving. Like, it had no excitement. It was so, now I look back, I was just very bored. I was very bored. That should have been a really big sign to me that, like, hey, you're not living up to what you truly could live up to because how bored you are. Okay. Now I told you some of the signs I had to knowing I was made for more, but I want to share with you 5 ways to kind of really embrace this thing. Okay. So the first thing is, girl, you got to quit thinking you're weird, and you have to start embracing that that's who you are. Like, you're not weird. Your head is not in the clouds. You're not just like a big dreamer for no reason. I'm going to tell you, I was at home in little small Rock City, Oklahoma, in my old high school bedroom at my parents' house with no money, with missing teeth, with hormonal acne, with all this excess weight gain. And I was still believing that God called me to an international ministry. It was crazy. It made me feel weird. I would even be like, why do I have these ideas? Like, I'm a small town girl, very country. Like, I don't know why I feel now that God gonna give me an international ministry. Like, I don't know. So what I want to tell you, don't think your big dreams are not weird. Your big dreams are not something you're just thought of. Like, truly, these big things you have in your heart, this passion, this desire that is burning inside of you, this hunger to do something, girl, God put it there because he made you for more. Okay. So stop thinking you're weird. Stop thinking like, oh, I need to quit thinking like that. I need to just focus on here. I used to tell myself, like, you might need to quit thinking about all these ministry ideas and just focus on, you got to work, you got to pay your bills. And it was like, God was like, no, keep focused on the ministry. But also in the meantime, do work, do pay your bills, because eventually this ministry is going to take it to another level. So do what you got to do now. So I just want to encourage you with that. Like, don't think you're weird, because I know for the longest I have always been like, girl, you're so weird. You're so weird to think like that, to dream like that. but maybe you're just outside of the box. You're not weird. There's just no box to you anymore. Like the box of like life is supposed to be like this. You're like, no, life is going to be the way God has called me to be it. And I'm going to step into everything he has for me. The second thing, girl, is embrace this vibe. Embrace whatever that is for you. If it's the dreams, if it's the ideas, embrace those. Embrace your big creativity. Embrace your big imagination. Embrace your desire that can step out in faith. Embrace the ideas that come. And I want you to remember this. This is an adventure of faith. Everything I do, even sitting here recording in this area right now, everything is an adventure of faith, girl, okay? From the office place to going back to school, to trusting God for a conference, to getting in whatever, everything is an adventure of faith. And I want to tell you that even people who are getting married, this is an adventure of faith, you guys, okay? So like, I want you to be willing to embrace it. This is an adventure, girl. This is an adventure. Take on the adventure of life. Take on this adventure of faith. You know, and that's what I have to tell myself when I'm stepping out, when I'm moving from the city that I love to go back to my hometown. Like when I'm starting to do crazy things and I know it's getting scary, I'm like, girl, this is the adventure of faith. This is what you signed up for. You told God that you will walk by faith and not by sight. This is what you signed up for. Let's go. Amen. So I want to share that with you, girl. Embrace the adventure of faith. Embrace that. Hey, I got these great ideas. I'm going to go for them. It might be scary. I might struggle my way through, but I'm going to go for them. The third thing is, girl, you got to move on your ideas. I don't know about you guys, but you got to move on your ideas. If God keeps giving you these great ideas and you never move on it, then many times what's happening is we find ourselves either bored or stuck in life, or I feel like God is calling me for more, but I don't know. And you're not moving when he actually is calling you for more. He's actually calling you to step out. He's actually calling you to move in different places. And you're kind of like, I don't know. Like, it's just, I can't do it, you know? But I want to tell you, girl, move on the ideas. If you notice that you don't move on any or not even half of the ideas God gives you, or half of the ideas that just pop in your head that are good and that are prosperous, if you don't even move on half of them, you are truly holding yourself back. The biggest thing in your way is you, if that's the case. It's not God. It's not the enemy. The biggest thing in your way is you. Because if God has been showing you something over and over again and you can't even step before, you can't even make the page, you can't even create the site, like you can't do nothing, like you're so held back by fear, then what's happening is that God is calling you for more. You're just not willing to move. You're just not willing to move. Like you're not willing to move into the area that he's calling you to move in. You're not willing to take the territory. It's almost like if somebody said, hey, you can have all this land. All you got to do is move into it. But you're like, oh man, it's mine. Yeah, it's yours. But you just got to step into that. You're like, nah, I don't want to. It's too much work. They're like, all you gotta do is step into it. It's too much work. It's too much work. Like that's kind of how it looks like. God is giving you all this territory, all these ideas, and then you're just like, nah, it's too much work. God is like, move on the ideas, girl. Move on the ideas. That's a great way how you're gonna know you were made for more, because you're gonna move on these ideas and they're gonna bring a harvest, okay? Period, point blank. Next thing is you got to be open to change, okay? And this is something that nobody really tells you about sometimes when you're like living and you're growing and you're evolving in your walk with God. Sometimes the way you've always done things is not always going to be the way you need to do things. You've got to be open to change, either if that's changing your location, if that's changing your habits, if that's changing the way you study the word, if that's changing your prayer style. You have to be open to change, because that is going to be a pivotal way that God is going to do a major move in your life. I will say a lot of stuff did not happen in my life until I began to change, until I said, okay, I will move out of that city. Okay, I will go back to school. Okay, I will do this. Like I'm trying to tell you, the moment you start embracing change, that's when you start to see the ball rolling. That's when you start to see traction in your life. If it's within your dream, whatever that is, but you've got to embrace change. If you're scared of change, then you won't see a lot of movement. When I was sitting in that boyfriend's house and I was so bored, I was afraid to change. I was afraid to take the leap that maybe I should move out. Maybe I should go do the other ideas I have. Like maybe there's something more for me. I want to tell you, girl, if you can't embrace change, you're going to sit there and you're going to be stuck. Be willing to embrace some change. Y'all, this is the 5th tip, but to me, this is the best one. So like that motivational speaker, Les Brown, he used to say, you gotta be hungry. Like he would be hardcore. He'd be like, you gotta be hungry, right? And I feel like that is so true, but I also believe you gotta be fearless, boo. Like my saying is, you got to be fearless in this area, especially with your faith. You got God on your side, but you have to be fearless in the adventures you walk out on. You got to be fearless in the things that you're willing to embrace. And I'm sharing this with you because think about it. If you're hungry and somebody hands you a piece of food, you don't care what kind of food it is. If you're starving, you're just going to eat that food. Versus us, when we're comfortable, someone might hand us a piece of food and we're like, oh, is this a salad? Does it have meat on it? We're looking at it because we've been comfortable. We ain't hurt. We're not starving for anything. So someone hands us a piece of food, we're going to kind of look at it. But I'm encouraging you that even if somebody hands you something, still be fearless. I'm not saying eat anybody's food, y'all. That's just an example. But I'm just saying, if someone hands you something and someone is showing you something, and you're like, I don't know if it looks the best. I'm not sure. I'm nervous. I'm scared of this. I want to challenge you to be fearless. And I believe God is handing us stuff all the time. He let me know early on at the early ages that Morgan, you were made for more. He was handing me all this stuff. But because I didn't understand what was in my hand, because I didn't understand what it looked like, because I didn't understand what the outcome was going to be, I almost didn't want to take a hold of that. But I want to tell you today, girl, like I'm being so passionate right now. It is so your time to embrace that you were made for more. Girl, I believe that God has called you for more than what you've even stepped into this far. I believe that God has more territory for you and more opportunities and more open doors for you than what you can even think or imagine. I believe it because I know my God. I know what he said and I know what he does. And I know he's not a respecter of persons. I want to tell you, sis, you were made for more. You were made for more. And I think it's a sign that you're even watching this video to maybe even confirm to you a little more that actually, I think God is pulling me to do more. And you might not know what that more looks like just yet. But as long as you know that, hey, it's not weird. It's not weird to me to desire more. It's not weird to me to want to have these dreams. It's not weird to me to want to take on this leap of faith and do this thing. That's not weird. I want to tell you, sis, you were made for more. You were made for more than probably where you're currently at, your current home, your current living spaces, your current financial season. You were made for more than that. Even to the level of how you inspire and impact people. You were made for more than that. God has more for you. You were made for more, daughter of God. And I want to leave you with this. You got to be fearless. You got to be fearless. And that means you feel the fear, but you do it anyways. And I want to encourage you, girl, you were made for more. Go for it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.